Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business from Hong Kong is broken down into straight up actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
Thank you everybody for tuning in, and really special day for me. I'm a new father. I know last week I had spent a few days for a false alarm early delivery, but over this past weekend it was a real one. So I'm a father to a baby boy named Miles Michelini here in Shenzhen, China, and it's been one of the most amazing few days of my life. All right, enough of that. And up for today's episode, we're at globalfromasia.com/episode 35. Again, remember, you can always check out the show notes with text and article links to what we talked about. And it's kind of an informal part two of a two-part series. Last week we had Paul Orlando, who's done an amazing job help building up the Hong Kong startup ecosystem. And this time we have one of his favorite cases, Truong Lam, partner at the Taxiwise startup that was one of the teams working closely with Paul. And it's a taxi booking mobile app startup based in Hong Kong that was just recently acquired. So I was able to get him on the show and get a little bit of an inside interview about the process from beginning to end. So I hope you guys appreciate it, and let's listen up. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of Global from Asia. We are here in central Hong Kong in a conference room of Regis. Pretty nice setup here. And we have my friend and entrepreneur here, T. Thanks for being here, T.
Oh, thank you very much. Actually, my name came from work a long time ago. A lot of people couldn't pronounce my first name, which is Truong, so I said my name is T, and I went with that ever since. So basically, when I came to Hong Kong here, actually I'm from the Valley, and when I came to Hong Kong with my co-founder, Jean-Marc Lee, original plan was to attend Paul Orlando's boot camp. And after the boot camp was done, because it was a 3-month period, we launched Taxiwise, which was a mobile application on the iOS platform where you can ask questions to other entrepreneurs locally around you. And after that 3 months, our original plan was just to move back and continue Taxiwise or get a job. But slowly and surely, we met our third co-founder named Lawrence at Barcamp. Barcamp was an event in Hong Kong in July of 2012. And we were introduced actually by Paul Orlando himself. Then from there, we kind of wanted to figure out what to do for Hong Kong, make something more useful. And we thought of taxis. And from there on, we started Taxiwise on the back end. Basically, what we did is we didn't really do much, but we also applied for the Accelerator HK program, which was the first mobile startup accelerator in Hong Kong, ran by Paul Orlando himself. And Stephen Forte, and then we got accepted out of, I don't know how many teams that were there, but we got accepted, and then we just pushed the product out, and then that was it.
Awesome, man. Thanks. Quick, nice summary there. We actually just had Paul on the previous episode, so it's kind of good to have you guys follow up after. I remember when I first met you guys. I was at boot camp. I can't even remember, when was that? Like in 2012? 2012. And that was at Boot HK.
Yeah.
The last few months of Boot HK. And so Taxiwise, I kind of even forgot the name. So that I'm obviously I think the whole community is proud of you guys, and it's really cool how you kind of started with one product. And then we're able to kind of was it a pivot, or is it a new company, or maybe just talk about that transition from Taxiwise to Taxi.
Yeah.
Taxi.
Yeah. Sure. So what I said earlier was more like something we wanted to build out for fun in Taxiwise, and then we asked ourselves, hey, is there something else that we can do and try to at least make some money, generate some revenue, and have a business model. And then we understood that taxis in Hong Kong had 8, 9, 10 cell phones. So they have mobile phones and tablets attached to the dashboard. And we wanted to see if we had if we can fix the problem what they had, which was, eliminating all those 8 cell phones into one. And then of course we pivoted, and then we chose translations and things like that. And then we kind of went down to, we went more in deep with the expat community. And then from there, it just really, opened up our eyes, and maybe we should just choose this instead of work on Citywise. Then there's other stuff that happens in there, such as development work, and finding talent here is kind of hard, especially talent here in Hong Kong. I mean, I'm sure there is a lot of people coming from Science Park and Cyberport that are really good. But for us, we didn't find that super rock star, because a lot of people here in Hong Kong compared to the Valley or in the US, they're very risk adverse. So whatever that gives them high return with low amount of work, they'll take it. They don't see it as a joy of working there. They just want to get that paycheck and go home, or graduate college and then get a nice job at the bank. Yeah. They don't see anything else past that.
Yeah, I definitely have had the same experience. I don't know if we call that purely Hong Kong. I think it's more like an Asia culture.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not too familiar with Singapore, but I know some people there, work with some people there, and I think mainland China, even Philippines. I know, I think it's like the Asian culture, the Asian family, the Asian parents. They don't want their children to take big risks in career. They kind of like, I think it's built into generations, like to take the steady paycheck, steady job over the higher risk. But, I think, hopefully stories like yours and others will help give more confidence for some of these entrepreneurs, these hidden entrepreneurs or these hidden hustlers to come out of the woodwork and take some more risks. But maybe we'll get into some of those pros and cons of Hong Kong or Asia in a little bit. So, this third partner, maybe you can explain, you mentioned Bar Camp and the matchmaker, the magic man, Paul Orlando, helping you guys. So, maybe also, I think I get a lot of people asking me too, how do you find partners, or how do you get connected with people to build your team? Maybe just share that experience.
Sure. For me and John Mark or JM, we don't speak Cantonese here in Hong Kong. Even though we're from Asian descent, but we're not the Cantonese Chinese. So it's hard for us to actually just talk to people, even ordering food or anything like that. And it was very difficult for us. And how we found our talent and our partner was kind of I would say, it kind of just happened because Lawrence at that time, he was at Cocoon, and he ended his second startup, I think, and he was about to go back to work into the corporate world. And when we pitched to him, before we even pitched him, we asked him to do a couple market research for us. It looked like this guy knew a lot of stuff, and it kind of opened up our eyes that, hey, maybe we should bring in more people with local talent, because me and JM, we can't do it alone. And that just opened up our eyes and saying, hey, you know what, Lawrence could be he can be a good asset to our company. And then from there, it was, he took care of the, Cantonese speaking side. He took care of all of the locals. I took care of design and tech. And then JM was more of the communications and business development. So then we had a perfect tripod right there. Yeah.
Cool. That's a good story. I mean, so we're dropping these keywords for people. I'll just kind of summarize. Bar Camp, actually, I think started in the Bay. It means Bay Area Reject.
Yeah. It's started in Palo Alto.
Yeah, Palo Alto. It doesn't really matter what the name is or the story, but what it is happens around the world, and it's kind of like an ad hoc conference where people come on usually 1 or 2 days. Usually it's a 1-day thing, and you can basically speak about any topic you want, and the highest voted topics are in breakout rooms, and then the audience or the attendees can choose which speaker or session to go into. But it's really mostly about matchmaking people around topics and themes, and you have the one room talking about like UX, you have one room talking about maybe mobile trends or payments or all kinds of anything, usually around tech, but it could be even non-tech. So that was one thing that you guys used. And then you also mentioned Cocoon, which is kind of one of the bigger co-working spaces in Hong Kong, and that's where you guys had your Accelerator HK program. So a lot of these keywords are coming up. So Cocoon is a co-working space. There's others too, many. Actually, Hong Kong has got so many co-working. And then Accelerator HK, which was run by Steve Forte and Paul Orlando, which they went through, which maybe you're better to explain it. Maybe you can just quickly talk about Accelerator HK.
Sure. So Accelerator HK is a mobile accelerator, and it was a 3-month long process. We had 5 teams from different places in the world. We had one team from Mexico, one from Malaysia, there's Hong Kong, and then for us it was Silicon Valley. So everyone was from different places in the world. And it was kind of like boot camp, which is a 3-month process ran by Paul Orlando. But then this accelerator program was like boot camp, but it was on steroids. It's more intense. You got to find your customers the first and second day. You got to make sure that you have some type of business model the first week. So it wasn't a walk in the park. It was very fun. I'm glad that we took it. I'm glad that we got chosen. I'm very sure other teams feel the same way. And I don't think I don't want to trade any positions, because this is a learning process, and I think I will never trade that 3-month for anything else.
Yeah. I stopped by a couple of times, and I remember you guys had a lot of fun, and it was a lot of bonding. So I remember your like MVP or your first version was a web, almost was it web? It was a responsive website, kind of.
Yeah.
And then you could book online, and it would literally, I think, just email, or it was manual on the back end, or.
Yeah, I think we used Google Forms.
Yeah, Google Form. I remember. And then I think that's what. These accelerators or the whole trend of startups is to get to push that out early, ship code, test your market, your customer, and then your demo day, your pitch was really good, and you guys had gotten a product going. So maybe I'm sure everybody that knows your story has read your articles on Startups HK and Tech in Asia and stuff. I don't know how much we can get out of you, but if you want to talk about your recent news of the your exit or your merger or your buyout, or what do you want to?
Sure. So recently, Taxiwise has been acquired. I can't really disclose the price, but it's by another local company. It's called Ikky, IKKY, and what they do is they are a booking platform for everything. So they have a platform where you can book spas, massages, barber, restaurants, and taxis now. So we're glad to be part of their team as being one of the verticals. And then, so it took us around 6 or 7 months. We have initial talk with them back in the summertime, but things didn't pick up until I said fall or winter time. And then it was just ongoing conversation. And then we finally did it. We both agreed on a price. And now we're working on the office full time. Me, JM, and Lawrence.
Cool, man. I'm happy. I think this is what Hong Kong needs more of, and Asia needs more news like this, where there's M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and I'm really happy for you guys, and it's really exciting. I think now we'll get out of the specific Taxiwise and maybe talk more about your experiences in Hong Kong. You said it earlier, you came from the Valley in the U.S. Maybe you can give us a little bit of your different feelings, and I'm sure there's pros and cons on both sides.
Yeah. So here in Hong Kong, it's your freedom is in. I mean, when I say freedom, I'm not talking about the whole China thing going on. But I think as an individual, you can't really drive here. If you want to go specific places, you got to make sure you got to go before 12 a.m. or else the MTR will close, things like that. And also one more thing is that rent is increasing here every couple of months. There's always an increase in rent here, and it's quite expensive if you want to do a startup. Make sure that you guys have money at least 6 months down the line with you if you're planning to do something in Hong Kong, or have some type of backup plan. It's always good to have a backup plan because you never know what's going to happen in the next couple months, especially in Hong Kong where rent is increasing all the time. Compare that to the Valley. The Valley is much more chill. What I mean by that is everyone is open to talk about their ideas. No one is there to steal someone's ideas because it's not about stealing. It's about whoever's executing. If they execute, then that's fine. But most of the time, they just want to learn from each other. You can go to a coffee shop and talk to anyone, and then about your startup or their startup, and no one really cares. Here is kind of different, where you got to hide things. You got to be very stealthy, and that's one of those two main differences that I find.
Interesting. I kind of want to dig a little bit about the hiding or some examples. I mean, I kind of feel like Hong Kong's opening up more. Maybe it's still a little bit more secret-y, but I do feel like
it's picking up. It's definitely picking up more than when I came here in 2012. There are people out there that long time ago where they didn't want to tell me about their stuff, and then 2 years later they start opening up, and I'm like, hey, you know what? No one's gonna take your idea. We're all friends and family here. It's not a big deal. It's not about stealing. It's about if they can execute it or not. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, I have one other idea or feeling though. I think they're afraid to fail.
Yes, that's very true. In the Valley or anywhere else, I'm saying even New York, all the tech bubbles all over the place. It's fine not to go to college. I mean, college is fine, right? But then college is not for everybody. For me, I didn't graduate college. I only have one class left, but I never took it. I went to have work experience to make all that stuff up. But it's okay not to go to college. And if you have an idea that you really like and you want to do it because you're going to grow older every day. And then by the time you're 65, you're going to look back, you're like, what have you done? Really just have been working. That's it. And you want to make sure you leave a legacy behind when you grow older.
True. Yeah, I agree. And then I think also if they fail in their startup and they're telling people like it doesn't work, I feel like another reason because I think a lot of these Asia or maybe in the US too, when something fails, it kind of just disappears, right? It doesn't so they're afraid, where I think US embraces failure more. I think that's the main difference.
That's exactly how you learn from mistakes. I mean, if you make a mistake and you fail, then, next time do it better. It's okay to fail because, look at Edison. Thomas Edison made how many light bulbs, and it took him the last try to change the whole world. I mean, that's kind of, high view of what it is, but just think it as that. I mean, no one created, Rome wasn't created in a day, right? I mean, it took time. It took a lot of strength and many people and community to make a city beautiful. So,
all right, great. I think you kind of mentioned some tips already, but maybe we can just list out a few tips. I know there's a lot of people interested that haven't yet moved to Asia or to Hong Kong, and they're usually from the US or Europe or the West. What did you kind of give them? I know you mentioned 6 months budget or runway. Anything else?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people, they come to Hong Kong, they want to live in a very nice place in Central, Sheung and things like that. But if you live here as long as we did, 2 years, you can live anywhere. MTR is very close by. Mainly, it runs almost all the time and it never fails. And you just get used to it. So don't spend your money on high-end luxury stuff, or especially living in Central Sheung. Live a little farther, bite the bullet, and it'll make you realize that you have something to work for. Nothing's easy in life. So I'm just saying, just keep your money where inside your pocket. Just save your money because you don't know what's going to happen. Don't splurge. You don't need those stuff, especially in the start. You're not supposed to spend anyways.
I agree. I think Long Kwai Fong is a little bit of a distraction.
Yeah. I think I've been there 5, 6 times. I'm done.
Yeah, and you know, anyway, I mean, we don't want to be like old men here, but you know, like it does, you know, getting drunk and hungovers. I'm getting old, man. Hangovers are killing me, but but also to your pocketbook, right? You, especially Long Kai Fong or even Wan Chai, you can spend 1,000, 2,000 Hong Kong in one night pretty quick. So, you know, I think if you're really true about doing a startup or building even any business, you know, I think you got to be dedicated and willing to sacrifice. So
For me, like when we first came to Hong Kong, it was me and Jam, and then we rented a 1-bedroom place in Wan Chai for 6,000 Hong Kong, and we slept on the ground. I slept on the ground. I have no shame. I slept on the ground for 2 months, and I'm guessing that's how entrepreneurs are. You know, I mean, if it beats you to the ground, if it makes you suffer, then you're doing something right. Because I'm not gonna live in like a very high end place. And
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I've definitely had my chances of couch surfing, and it's getting actually cool. Like I found a place in Hong Kong, Wendy Chen, and she let me stay over in her spare bedroom. And you also can find people to help you and keep hustling. Cool, man. Really, thanks for this interview. And maybe some listeners might want to reach out to you after the show. What ways can they do that?
Sure. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. It's at TLAM, that's T Lam, and then VIP, that's TLAM VIP. Or you can reach me at email at tlam.vip@gmail.com. And I don't blog, so I don't really.
No problem. Cool, man. So, and you're really great for this show and your team and the whole community. And thanks. That's a wrap, man. Cheers.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for that, T. I know you were a little bit hesitant to get on recorded on a podcast, and I really believe that being on this show today is going to help a lot of other listeners, entrepreneurs, and business people get better insights on how to get started in Hong Kong, in tech, and in startups overall. So that's a wrap for this show. And next week, we're going to get another episode about Kickstarter with talking about cross-border teams, cross-border companies, U.S., Hong Kong, and China, and fulfillment. So I'm sure you guys are going to be looking forward to that one, and let's hear you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
To get more info about running an international business via Hong Kong, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.